would be back from what he said was, quote, not a simple knee injury. Nabers tore the ACL on his right knee in September. He's had 2 surgeries since. On the same day, Giants defensive lineman Roy Robertson-Harris tore his Achilles while working out. He'll miss the entire season. He was expected to start as the Giants try to rebuild the interior of their line after trading Dexter Lawrence. And then Friday, quarterback Jackson Dart introduced President Trump at a prep rally in New York, and his appearance with the president prompted his teammate Abdul Carter to respond on social media, saying afterwards, quote, thought this blank was AI. What we doing, man? Did after the post sparked considerable reaction from around the league. He then responded with, me and JD6, quarterback Dart, are good. We spoke earlier as men. Y'all can keep y'all narrative. So that's what's been going on. That's a week in review for the Giants by Scott.
For May,
and Dan Graziano. That's a news-packed first part in May. Political differences aside, not getting into that because no one cares. What we care about is how early on in a tenure with a head coach there could be an issue in the locker room. How are you handling this as GM?
Well, first of all, it's family business. There's always going to be disagreements. But more fundamentally, the job description of a quarterback is, do your teammates believe that you can lead them to where you want to go? And if I'm Jackson Dart, the most disturbing number from last year is he was hit 148 times in 12 games as a starter. That is simply not sustainable. So you have to earn the trust of your teammates. It starts in the offseason, but at the end of the day, they have to believe, can this guy take us to a championship level?
So, Bart, you get in the locker room, you got a new head coach, and you guys, we talked about this extensively this morning, that the foundation of a football team is in the locker room, a sanctuary that no one from the outside should see.
Yeah.
This is a challenge early on for Harbaugh to build that foundation in the locker room.
Yeah, that's what, being a new coach and the first time, being in New York, and you're trying to cultivate a culture and build a culture of accountability, but also trust and belief in each other, right? And, guys have different political, religious affiliations and things like that. And that's the beauty of a locker room. It is a microcosm of society. Everything you have in society, you have it within that locker room, but we put all those differences aside for the betterment of the team. These are 2 young players that I think didn't handle it as a professional, right? Because if you have a problem with somebody, you speak to them. And if you're going to do something that could be seen as divisive, you want to address that before so that your teammate's not caught off guard by TMZ or somebody out that's asking, hey, did you see this? And then they have to respond to it. And sometimes it's not what you want to hear. Harbaugh has a lot on his plate because you talk about, Harbaugh's trying to bring toughness here, right? And you talk about Jackson Dart and how he has to understand how important he is and how he has to he's in concussion protocol 5 times last year. That's never good if you're going to be a franchise quarterback. But then he doubles down on it, right? And he says, hey, that's just how I play. Then he talks about toughness and what Harbaugh was talking about. Like, listen, he's talking about toughness for everybody, not you. That message isn't for you. So he has to do a better job of understanding, and these are young leaders that are going to have to develop, and we don't know who are the leaders of this team.
And you think, though, potentially that something this early in the offseason, we got 3 months till the regular season starts, something this early in the offseason could actually help Harbaugh further that culture because it has to get worked out.
Right. I mean, look, yes, it offers the opportunity to have constructive discussions behind the scenes that help the players in the locker room understand, each other foundationally at a different level. And I think that's, ultimately, if that's what comes out of this, then good. I think it kind of underscores the challenge that John Harbaugh has here. Yeah. Because with Bart's point about it's a young team.
Yeah.
I mean, these are 2 guys that are 2 of the most prominent players on the team. They were drafted last year.
Right.
So John Harbaugh, this isn't a Giants team where you just got to plug in veteran coach with the Super Bowl title and assume that's all you were missing. Yeah. He still has to build something that's kind of a ground-up rebuild still in New York.
And you talk about the youth of this team. One of those guys, Malik Nabers, by no means is a veteran yet, gets injured last year. The sound came out last week. We're like, no, wait a second. That doesn't sound great. How concerning is that when you add all of it on top?
I think it's extremely concerning because for Jackson Dart to be his best, you want him to have his best receiver. Malik Nabers is an elite talent at the position that we have seen when he's been healthy, but it doesn't sound like he's going to be healthy at the start of this season. Doesn't sound, there's questions about how effective he'll be coming off of multiple knee surgeries in the same offseason. At all this year. So I think this is a significant area of concern for the Giants. nothing they can do about it right now other than rest him and rehab him and get him ready for whenever he can come back. But multiple knee surgeries.
Yeah.
The second was not planned.
No.
It was because the first one didn't work. And so, yeah, I think there's legitimate reason to wonder how much, if at all, you'll have Malik Nabers this season, and if you do, how effective you can expect him to be.
One of the big challenges for the Giants is Jackson Dart and Malik Nabers played together in one game, and look who they're competing against. You think about the offenses of Dallas and Philadelphia, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, great quarterbacks with great skill players. And look, Washington, Jaden Daniels went to the Final Four his rookie year. Obviously, he got hurt last year. So this is a division you're going to have to score points. It starts with your quarterback, who's going to have to stay healthy. And Malik Nabers is a great player, but it is ominous what John Harbaugh said before the draft. And now that he's already had a second surgery, that would be a big concern.
Look, it's always going to be entertaining with any New York sports team.
Yeah.
The New York Giants, they gave us something in the offseason when the head coach was probably like, keep your head down. Let's just get there.
At OTA. Since he revamped their roster this offseason, they signed a lot of guys on defense. They bring back everyone on offense. And Burrow, who expressed his frustrations last year, now feels confident about the team making a move this season. Take a listen to Burrow.
I think this is the most talented roster that we've had since I've been here. We have everything we need in that locker room. We just got to go and make it happen.
Talk about the idea of trying to elevate the Bengals onto a bigger platform. Do you think that the Bengals are in a better spot now than they were years ago, and how much more work is there to go in that?
Definitely. I think the number one thing is you have to win. And we're going to go win a lot of games this year and play great and win a Super Bowl. And everything that comes with that comes with that.
Kimberly Martin is with us. Kimberly, you have covered a lot of AFC North over the last couple of years. You know this team really well and that quarterback. Yeah. Is Burrow the quarterback with the most at stake this season?
Most at stake. I put him, Josh Allen, and Lamar all in the same category. Yeah. They're, in my opinion, all three elite. So at this point, everybody just wants to know, when are you going to win a Super Bowl? Because even getting to the playoffs for Josh and Lamar, it's not good enough. It's when are you going to win a Lombardi? And also Joe Burrow, they haven't been to the playoffs since 2022. So despite how great their offense have been, that defense has really been the Achilles heel. They've made defensive improvements, but ultimately, if Joe Burrow does not stay healthy, none of it matters.
J-Mac, they made a lot of signings and they traded for Dexter Lawrence. They also bring back 11 starters on offense. Yep. I'm personally very high on them. I think everyone else seems to be kind of trending that direction. What's your take on the Bengals, who have missed the playoffs 3 years in a row?
They'll be the bandwagon team. Like all of us experts will come on early in the offseason or in training camp, and we'll pick them to go to the Super Bowl. And I get it. I get why. When they've made the moves they've made this offseason, bringing in winners to the organization, people that have won Super Bowls, like Boye Mafe, like Brian, those type of guys change it. Then when you make a trade and you go and get Dexter Lawrence, and you say, hey, we were atrocious on defense, and we're going to go out and make that adjustment. Hearing Joe Burrow say this is the best team since I've been here, he's already been to a Super Bowl, different than Lamar and Josh. Ton of pressures on him and Zach Taylor to go ahead and make this thing happen, to win a lot of games like he talked about, to get over the hump and be able to win a Super Bowl. But the one thing I loved in that clip, there's a happy Joe Burrow.
Remember
We're not
last
hearing
year?
the conversations in December where it's playing, am I having fun? How
body language,
he
talking,
is
all
happy,
that.
he is fired up to be a Cincinnati Bengal. So all Bengals fans should be fired up too.
Joe, 9.5 on May 22nd, 9.5 wins over under. What do you say?
That's an interesting price because that's 10th. There are 9 teams ranked above them for win total. So when we're talking about Super Bowl teams, there are a lot that are priced higher. And money talks. If that was wrong, the market would have made an adjustment. I'd lean a little bit to the under. One thing we want to talk about is Burrow's health. 10 or fewer games in 3 of his 6 seasons. 10 or more wins in 2 of his 6 seasons. Now, this team is revamped on defense, which is important. But this is a defense that was 30th in scoring last year, 29th in EPA, and 29th in efficiency. So if they're improved, does that mean they go 29th to 18?
Yeah. Right.
Or are we talking top
right.
10? They don't need to be a top 5 D with that offense to win games, but they can't be 21st on defense, and we're talking Super Bowl.
I would note all 3 teams in that division, other than the Bengals, have new head coaches, new offensive coordinators, and new defensive coordinators. A lot of turnover in that division. All right, some time for some sneaky big news last night, as everyone might have been watching Knicks and Cavs. This one came across with Shefty breaking this news. Matthew Stafford and the Rams have agreed to a 1-year extension through the 2027 season worth $55 million. The reigning MVP led the Rams to the NFC Championship game last season, over 4,700 passing yards and a career-high 46 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions. J-Mac, Did the Rams just extend their Super Bowl window by a year? What's your take on this whole deal?
Matthew Stafford continues to play like this. Absolutely. And this is a team going into this year. They're going to be Super Bowl favorites. It's going to be them and Seattle representing the NFC, who you're going to say are the top two teams. Matthew Stafford was unbelievable last year. And this was a year removed from, remember we were talking about him possibly going to the New York Giants and what were they going to pay
the Raiders.
Yes, what was he actually worth at this point in his career? And all he did was go out there and put together an MVP season. This team has everything they need. I know we talked about Ty Simpson during the draft and when he was this is Matthew Stafford's team. Sean McVay has said that from the very beginning. And as long as he's playing at a high level like he is, they're going to have a chance at a Super Bowl.
All right, Kmart, we watched the draft, and at the 13th overall pick, they took a quarterback in Ty Simpson. What does this all mean with the Stafford extension, but Simpson there on the bench?
That he's on the bench. That he can be the heir apparent, but the time is now for Matt Stafford. And I think even covering that NFC title game where the Rams lost to the Seattle, you're looking at a team, you're looking at McVay, and he's asked questions like, is Matt Stafford going to be the guy next year? And he's like, are you kidding me? That is my guy. And so taking Ty Simpson, I think, raised a lot of eyebrows. But at the end of the day, Ty Simpson, in some respects, is a luxury pick you don't need right now because Matt Stafford is playing so well. They've beefed up the team. They got the corner,
McDuffie,
McDuffie. So they've done stuff to improve this roster, and they'll keep adding to the roster.
I think that's my point, knowing the Rams pretty well. Just because they have a roster on May 22nd does not mean that's the roster they'll try to opening day. They still can make a big move. They can make a small move, and there are a lot of players out there that might be able to be acquired. I would keep an eye on the Rams this entire offseason. I go to you, Joe, because when we wake up this morning, the Rams are the Super Bowl favorite, and the NFL gave them the most primetime games. Your thoughts on plus 800 to win the whole thing?
If you hang 15-1, you're going to get hammered, and it's going to get knocked right down to that price. So, yeah, this is the team that should be the favorite. What don't you like? The coaches won a Super Bowl. The quarterbacks won a Super Bowl. They're a proven commodity. Offense has plenty of weapons. The defense has gotten better and was already good to begin with. The division's tough, but I see Seattle coming down a little bit. So, yeah, that's your favorite right there. It makes a ton of sense. I wouldn't bet them now because the only thing that can happen between this point and the start of the season is an injury or something negative. So just hang back and wait. You can probably get a better price.
The Rams, of course, the LA team, the Super Bowl this year. On ESPN.
On ESPN?